There was a field behind our camping areas, and we as a whole saw an extremely tall, unadulterated white figure standing perhaps 100 feet away from us in the field, making the clamors. We as a whole concurred this thing looked perhaps 6 feet tall, thin, and white as anyone might think possible. We advanced nearer to explore, yet anything it was that we saw got backing going as we drew nearer, and it vanished into the trees. The entire night we kept on hearing a young lady calling for help as we attempted to rest. I was driving across country with my mother and sister when I was 16 and my sister was 20. It was late, however we were all around rested still and caution. We were driving along the highway and required gas and a washroom break, so we halted at the main rest stop in 200 miles. There was a van brimming with teens on an excursion at the service station, as well as a little dark vehicle left at the siphon before us with 2 young fellows stopping beyond it. At the point when we arrived, all that felt wrong. We'd been out and about for quite a long time and seen many rest stops around evening time and had never been apprehensive up to that point. My mother and sister headed inside and I remained in the vehicle. I heard the youngsters say they were creeped out and couldn't get the siphon to work, and they left in a rush. I was watching the vehicle before us, and the 2 men had not moved by any means. Not an inch. They weren't talking. They weren't on telephones. They were simply remaining there, still as stone. My sister and mother came running back out to the vehicle, and when they got in, the 2 men gradually went to take a gander at us while not moving or turning their other bodies, and I commit to fucking poop, we as a whole saw exactly the same thing. They had eyes dim as pitch and void. Genuinely unfilled. Not dark, not mirroring any light whatsoever, only a void. We sped out of there and didn't stop until we were in the following city. The most awful thing about the whole experience? We were unable to track down the put on any guide. We knew precisely which spot on the highway to look, and we were unable to find it on Google Maps or any paper map we had. We even got some information about the unpleasant service station out on that stretch of street and got just confounded looks. We've gone on that highway since, and there is no rest stop. We were driving my companion's truly old beat-up Subaru through a huge burial ground. We halted and strolled down a slope and ran over a little lake. There was somebody sitting on a stone on the opposite side of the lake. The figure was all dark and we were unable to make out any elements other than the reality it seemed to be a man who was wearing some old-style formal hat. We moronically waved and yelled hello there. He showed no affirmation, kept standing by on the stone. Out of nowhere, he leaped to his feet, began racing to us on the water and afterward evaporated in slim water mostly on the lake. My companions and I shouted and ran back to the vehicle. The vehicle wouldn't begin, and we heard something beating on the rear of the vehicle. It was anything but a steady bang, yet like clockwork or so we'd hear it. No one was outside as far as we could tell in obscurity, however something was making a clamor on the vehicle. I opened my telephone and began dialing my mother to come give us a lift, yet I had no help. Not a solitary one of us had any cell administration. The following 30 minutes were spent attempting to kick her vehicle off. No banging was heard a short time later, yet we felt this weighty strain around us. At last, the vehicle began and she hit the full speed ahead. We sped out of the burial ground so quickly crossing the doors, every one of our telephones recaptured cell administration. One thing I know for certain is that a person or thing was out there, and it was anything but a creature or a human. I functioned as a measurable medical caretaker in a clinic segregation ward. We had an older lady who guaranteed that a devil named Tiberius was oppressing and torturing her. While she was in the ward, numerous odd things occurred. We would go into her room, give routine consideration, leave, and inside a couple of moments, she would begin shouting about a ridiculous homicide. We would race into the room and find her looking as though she had battled a boxing champion, horrendous lip, wounded under her eye, and denotes all around her body. Nobody had at any point seen her do this to herself. Objects in the room would continue all alone. At a certain point, they needed to limit her on the grounds that the specialist thought she was hurting herself. While she was handcuffed, she was unable to move, yet new checks would in any case show up, or her plate/streetcar would be at the opposite finish of the room. The room was secure, so no other person might have gotten it done. At the point when we posed her inquiries, she would essentially say, "It was Tiberius." After she was released, we generally disliked that room. Assuming there was ever a requirement for a fast reaction or a code, it occurred there. One evening, a safety officer revealed that the lights were glinting here and there. It was that room.